welcome back to TV Guys, the show where the real friends were the kids we kidnapped along the way. I'm Matt.
I'm Brian. And Matt, so I don't normally do this. I thought of I have 4 different options for what you may have said in your opening joke, and you didn't go for any of them.
I have a multiple choice, and it failed.
So
All right,
a couple, I'll tell you what they were. And some of these, I know it's not your humor, and you wouldn't have done it, but you could have said, "Welcome to TV Guys, the one where we invite you to suck our fat one." Or the one where, like Robin, we like dick. Or and then in another direction, you could go like the one where we believe, or the one where we're also writing it as we go along.
Which that last one is true.
Yeah.
None of the other ones, but that last one, because we don't believe in jack squat. All right, and we will suck no fat ones, none. I can't believe that's how you're starting the episode, Brian.
Well, they gave those lines to a 10-year-old child, so it's really not on us at this point.
I mean, that was the 80s, though. 80s kids, they had mouths on them. Unlike us 90s kids, who we would get mouths washed out with soap for saying heck. We were so holy and pious, right? Never swore.
I don't remember what I said, but I actually did get my mouth washed out with soap once.
Did you speak against Green Acres? We're like, this show's derivative.
Something like that. Or though the offensive one in my house would have been if I spoke up against the Andy Griffith Show.
Man, I knew it. I knew there'd be one that was like, this is the sacred cow that you do not say anything against. I don't know why I went Green Acres.
I think it's the right era.
It is. You know, Zsa Zsa Gabor, she calls out to me.
Yeah.
All right, but we're not here to talk about 1960s TV. No, not at all.
We're here to talk about 2020s TV that's set in the 1980s.
Exactly. Duh. Obviously. Yeah. So we've been covering Stranger Things, and Stranger Things season 1 debuted, 10 years ago?
It was 2016.
Yeah. And so 10 years later, these 12-year-olds are actually in their mid-20s, and they have aged up so fast because it takes them so long to get these seasons out. And, you know, their careers all blew up, most of them. They all hit something. And now we finally have resolution. We finally put an end to Hawkins, Indiana. And, you know, not no one, but they didn't move away. They didn't move out of that freak town and get out of there. So,
well, some of the older kids did.
Some of them eventually. Yeah. But season 5, there's a lot that happened in season 5, and yes, it is all season 5. I don't care if it's like half the episodes were on Thanksgiving, and then had 3 on Christmas and 1 on New Year's, whatever it was. It's all one season.
Yeah. And so, Matt, overall, what are your thoughts? Did you love the season, hate the season?
I actually liked it. I know a lot of people didn't. And there were some things that I had critiques about and some things that I wasn't a fan of. But I thought that the storylines were solid. I think there was a little bit of rushed pacing at the end. That I like the ideas that they went with, and I felt like it did bring things together and tie things back. And I don't have the complaints that others do. I have some of them, but I know some just absolutely hated it. And those are critiques I can't really understand completely.
I mostly agree. So I liked it overall. There are some things I disagreed with that we'll talk as we go along. There's one major storyline that I thought was really awful, and we'll get to that one. That is like the only storyline that I thought was overall bad all the way through. Everything else had some good to it. And so the show winds out. If I had to give the season a grade, I would give it like a B.
Yeah, I think that honestly the weakest, and this might be the one that you were saying, would probably be the military plot with Dr. K.
Yes, the point where I wrote out an outline for Matt for and I even put military / and Brian's idea for how to make it better. So when we get to that point, I try to get him as chronological as I could.
Yeah. Yeah, so when season 5 starts off, we're back. This is the thing with Stranger Things. Every single season, you have one episode at least that's catching you up to speed. And you need to know everything that happened in between the last season and this season. And it's a little bit of like, nothing's really happening in this first episode. So if you're like, I'm so excited for this season to premiere, I'm only going to watch one episode tonight, and you turn it on, you're just like, why that one? Nothing happened in it. So we start off and we get all these characters and figuring out, and Maya Hawke is Robin's giving her whole thing about this is what's going on in Hawkins, and here's the military, and it's great. And then we come to find out that they're all planning and they're all working this undercover sort of Red Dawn type storyline where they are going into and sneaking into the Upside Down through military units and trying to find Vecna there. So that's the first storyline that we're talking about is their crawl and them together.
Yeah, but I did like that this is the first time that they all start out as one cohesive unit, because it's always in the past like something happens with the kids and then they're off there on their mission, and something happens with the teenagers and they're off there on their mission, and they'll collide. But this is like, no, we've been through this enough. We're all in one team. These are all the players. And that one thing that first episode did was show this is everybody's role within this group. Like Robin's the announcer. Hopper's the guy who goes in to physically look for Vecna. And it was fun, especially after season 4 being so disjointed and everyone separate the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, season 2, it's like, where is Elle? We don't know where Elle is. Season 4, where is Hopper? We don't know where Hopper is. Season 3 had, I think, that one you kind of knew where everyone was, but there's still like Nancy and Jonathan are really self-contained. Their story of them working for that newspaper, and they don't have too much overlap with other stuff. And so, yeah, every single one, there's just like, hey, these people are in different places, and Elle and Joyce and Will, they're all the way across in California, and all this sort of stuff. So It was good to have that start. Like you said, one of the strengths of ensemble shows and things like the Avengers and movies like that is you like to see how these characters interact. Mm-hmm. And so you said when these first debuted in November, you sent me a message, you're like, I like that they're giving some unique pairings, and we'll get to some of those as we talk about different storylines. But you want to see how do these characters interact, and it's fun to see, because guess what? Nancy and Mike are brother and sister, and they haven't felt like brother and sister since season 1.
Really? No, they haven't.
And so now getting them back together a little bit, you still see some of that family dynamic again.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said Avengers, because I also think of it. I kind of think of it as season 4 is like Infinity War, and the season 5 is like Endgame.
Yeah, that's a fair comparison. If Endgame borrowed heavily from the 80s.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think there's definite parallels to the Avengers in the MCU, to Harry Potter, and to Star Wars, and we can talk about all those as we go along. Yeah. I don't know if you clocked all 3 of those.
Yeah, I pull off like the things that they're clearly going for. So, for instance, Red Dawn was probably the thing. Red Dawn, like they've been doing Red Dawn since season 3, because Red Dawn is all about Russia invading America and a group of teens fighting against these Russian forces. And season 3 is when we had a Russian presence in Hawkins, and the crawl stuff is still indicative of that Red Dawn feel.
I'll take your word for it. I've actually never seen Red Dawn.
It's all right. It's got what's her name from Back to the Future, Leah Thompson in it. It's got, I think, Amelia. No, I can't remember who's all in it. I think it's got Emilio Estevez. I think I'm right. But go ahead.
But no, I was saying, but no, it is true. And but instead of the Russians now, it's the military presence in Hawkins, which is their fighting force, other than, of course, Vecna, who really doesn't interact with the main group for this in this first little bit.
Yeah. And so let's move into, because we get Linda Hamilton, who's just a fantastic 80s icon.
Yeah.
huge from Terminator, and then she comes into this show and it's like, oh, this is our 80s star power for the season. Great. And her story is, I don't understand her motivation. I can't, like, trying to think through. They might have explained it and everything and talked about like, oh, how they what?
I don't think they did. That's the thing. There's nothing about her. I mean, I'll go on a rant, but I don't interrupt you. Go ahead.
Yeah, because they give you the military plan. You know, you see some of the horror of like, oh, here's all the pregnant women, and they're trying to restart the number program that Matthew Modine's character did. Papa,
Dr. Brenner. Yeah,
Brenner. Thank you. I couldn't remember his character name. That Dr. Brenner had done in season 1, and they're trying to start that and trying to harness it again. But it just feels rehashed. And sure, honestly, an American government who saw that this created one successful thing might waste millions of dollars of American taxpayers' money and not care about the moral implications of what they're doing. Sure, that's realistic that they're going to maybe try this again. But in this show, it just doesn't make for good television because I'm like, I feel like we've seen this.
Yeah.
And even if you're doing something different, you're not adding a whole lot of new to it. It felt like it was more just an excuse to bring what's her name back in from season 2.
Callie, yeah. Which they still could have brought her in. So, I mean, Dr. K, who is Linda Hamilton's character, they wanted her to be like the new Dr. Brenner, but Dr. Brenner and 11 had such a unique relationship that went all the way back to season 1. And he was such a part of the show. And without him, it didn't really work. You don't, because again, we don't know why is she restarting Brenner's program. Did she work with Brenner? Did she apprentice with him? Is she like a fan of his? Is she have the mentality that he messed up, I'm going to do it better? All of these are things that we should know if they're going to bring that into a storyline.
Yeah.
And then at the end, they just left. Like, these people shot and killed military officers, broke several laws. Like, realistically, the main characters would probably all be in prison.
Yeah. It doesn't matter if they destroyed the Upside Down and saved the day and everything. As soon as the Upside Down gets destroyed, they're not like, oh, pack it up, guys, we got to go. That's not how the military works.
Plus, how are they? How many people like the military are they going to actually believe? Obviously, there's some supernatural stuff going on, but are they really going to believe? Oh, there was this guy Vecna, and he was from the abyss, and like, I don't see that holding up in court.
Yeah. This might be a part of this is how they did it better, but when Vecna comes out through the gate at the end of the first block and we get that Will is, oh my gosh, he has powers now too, but Vecna has pretty much killed all the military there. I think that was the time, just finish off all the military and maybe leave Dr. K. I don't know, but I think that's the time to kind of cut ties on that military storyline maybe.
You could have. I think you needed to have some kind of other force. Otherwise, it's just too easy if they're just in Hawkins going freely into the Upside Down. I think what it should have been, because we had Sullivan, who was the guy from season 4, and he had the anger like, I need to kill 11. So I think you keep him. You get rid of Linda Hamilton, but I still wrote in where I'll get to where she can have a cameo at the end. You bring in the 2 Hawkins police guys who weren't even in the season, Powell and Callahan, who were there from previous seasons. Mm-hmm. And you have it that those guys now working for the military, now working for Sullivan. Sullivan came in and they're working for them, and kind of have it be where they, over time, like especially with that Vecna coming in and killing everybody, leave those guys there. And over time, they slowly start to understand, like, this is our town. This isn't right. We don't believe in the military presence here. And at the end, have it be that they're like the only ones left alive after the Upside Down explosion and everything, which could also explain how they reconnected with Hopper and have the respect from working with him. And that's why they're able to get away. And maybe at the end, you have Dr. K with Linda Hamilton as a cameo. And like those guys are having to answer, like, what happened there? And we can show those guys lying and saying, yeah, everyone who was against us died. And that's how they all escaped. I don't know. What do you think of that?
I don't know. I just, I don't like the military idea anyway. Like, I don't feel like that fixes it a ton. Sorry, Brian. I know you're expecting me to just praise your writing skills, but I don't know. I don't have enough to like poke holes in it. I just remember not like I remember being bored. That's what it is. And you don't want to be bored by your entertainment, you know?
No.
So I get what you're saying though, that we did need another antagonist because we needed something. There needed to be a reason why 11 had to stay behind in the Upside Down, and that she couldn't just come out with all of them, that they had to stage that whole thing for her to be in there. I get that, but I don't know. I thought it was weak. But you know what wasn't weak? When they ripped off Home Alone and they did the Demogorgon attack on Derek's house. What was the family's name?
The Turnbow house. Yeah. Well, should we save that for later, or do you want to get into that one now? Because before that, the Demogorgons attack the Wheeler house.
They do. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the Demogorgon attack on the Wheeler house. So we finally give Ted and Karen. We finally give Karen something to do besides flirt with a teenager. And she has a great moment. The problem was once they kept Ted and Karen alive, you also knew Mike and Holly and Nancy were all going to live, because you needed something to be fighting for. If they killed them, then it wasn't like their family unit wasn't going to come together. They needed to have normalcy of a family unit and be able to say, hey, look, all of this family, they survived, and now they can actually live their life. And so when they said, and they went out of their way to say, hey, they're not dead, even though Ted's in a coma, whatever, I was like, okay, all three of those kids are going to survive now.
Well, to be fair, I never thought that Collie, because of the kids. I thought everyone, Erica and younger, I thought was going to be safe just based on the age. But yeah, Mike and Nancy could have died. We'll get into how nobody died. There's so much talk into who's going to die this season. Well, Vecna, obviously, we know he's going to die, and Callie, who no one liked, we're going to bring her back so she can die, and that's it. Die.
Here goes Callie.
Nobody else. But
they need a Joss Whedon. Like, I know some people, they don't like Joss Whedon, but here's what Joss Whedon does well. He picks a character that's really beloved, and he's like, that person I will sacrifice for the sake of the story.
Yeah. But so getting back to the Demogorgons finally attack the Wheeler house, which is like they finally get in on the action. And it's funny. So I was watching it with Sabrina, and Sabrina was getting so annoyed with Ted, and I kept having to remind her, Ted doesn't know Demogorgons exist. These guys have been kept out of the loop, and granted, they are very oblivious. But when Ted is out and he's practicing his golf swing, and the things are flickering, and he's just standing there. What the heck? Sabrina was like, why go save your family? I'm like, he's probably just thinking, did I pay the electric bill? Like all these extra people in my house? And then again, she's like, oh, really? He takes a golf club. Again, he has no idea and no reason to believe that a giant interdimensional monster is in his house. He is going off of the information that he knows.
Which in retrospect, he should have seen that coming.
Yeah.
I'm rewatching Stranger Things with Elijah, and we're early on in season 2. And so I don't know if there's other things Ted had, but I feel like the closest Ted ever has to having his eyes open to the supernatural is when he finds out that 11 had stayed with them for a little bit at the end of season 1.
Yeah.
Half of it happens off screen, but pretty much we see the government at their house. And Mike's screaming, no, what you took out, I'm mad at you guys. And Ted's just like, we're all patriots here. We're going to keep our mouths shut about everything that happened. And so he shakes their hand. And they didn't have the supernatural stuff. He just knew there was a girl. That's all that he knew. Closest thing that he had to the plot of any of these shows up to this point.
Yeah. And in going back there, you saw that it was an election year. And of course, the Wheelers had the Reagan signs, and I think Dustin's mom had the Mondale signs.
Yeah. That Reagan Bush sign though is iconic. I've seen, of all the campaign signs that I've seen, it's that and then the Obama change one or hope poster. Those are the two that like are to me the most iconic um campaign posters thing that I've seen in
Yeah.
other media regurgitated.
Oh, absolutely. And but like, so I think another thing that this did really well was it's like attacked our safe space, because all of the supernatural stuff, it happens a lot at the Byers house, but the Wheeler house has always been like home base, like no one can get us here. And especially Ted, Karen, and Holly, they're the Wheeler family members that have never had anything to do with this, and now they're the ones being attacked. And you can even see when like Will tells them like, going to your house and you see that shot on Nancy's face, it's like it caught them all off guard.
Yeah. I know we're going to talk about characters, but this is really our introduction to Holly as a main force. How did you? I liked Holly. I thought that she was actually really well written for being like a baby in season 1, and then I mean the time is a little off in her age.
Oh yeah, the age is terrible, but the actress is good, so I'll forgive it.
Exactly, it's the Better Call Saul problem with Mike's granddaughter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really enjoyed Holly. I thought her storyline and everything was interesting, and it was a great tether it was a great tether for a new character to have. And it was a different new character than like Eddie or Bob or whatever that we got in other seasons, because she didn't die at the end of this season.
Again, I think it's childhood armor. I think this show cuts their losses at killing children.
Yeah. But I enjoyed her whole thing and like her path to bravery. I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but since we're talking about Holly, I just wanted to throw that in.
No, I think they did fantastic casting with Holly, and I love also mentioned earlier, the fact that the Byers are just living with the Wheelers now, and that breakfast scene, and like Ted just like hates that they're living there. Imagine telling Ted, okay, who's gonna be moving into our house, Karen? Wait, my daughter's boyfriend, the kid who supposedly died, and I went to his funeral, and then the lady who axed the hole in her house. Lovely.
The woman who can talk to the dead and summon Michael Keaton. Wait, I'm thinking of something else. I'm sorry. All right, so the next thing that we're at with Holly, speaking of her, is that she can see Vecna, Mr. What's-It, and there is a little bit of this. Who's Mr. What's-It going to be? Did you have a theory before that instead of Vecna?
I always thought it was going to be Henry Vecna. When they had the big reveal, it's Henry, and I was not surprised by that one at all.
I felt like it was going to be like Will for some reason, and I was like, I don't know why it's going to be Will, and then I realized that like the things I think I was picking up on with some of the foreshadowing of Will was him seeing through Vecna's eyes. So I mean, I was wrong. I'm not saying I'm right. Yeah. But I also can see where they're laying some breadcrumbs anyway, and I think I picked up on those.
But also, she should know Will. She wouldn't call Will Mr. What's-It. That's true. Yeah.
Again, I'm wrong. I know. I don't know why I thought that. I was just like, yeah.
But this would be a good time to talk about the whole Henry, Holly, Max, everything in Vecna's mind, which I think a lot of time was spent on this, and I thought that was one of the strongest things in the season.
Yes. Yeah, I liked all of the in the mind stuff. That was really interesting, and especially when, hey, here's Max all of a sudden. Like, oh, good. We got Max back.
Which, I mean, obviously, when the trailers were dropping, before the thing was there, I watched closely, and they never showed Max awake. They only showed her in the coma. Of course, I knew they weren't just going to have Max be in a coma the whole time. And so I thought that she was going to be in there, because that's the only place that makes sense for her to be, is in the mind. But they still did a really good job, and I think those two, Holly and Max, had really good chemistry as well.
Yeah, I think all of that story, like, sure, I know that, when you're in the moment, you're watching it, you have to, like, forget about some things. But I saw all the TikToks when they're going to be escaping, and no, I'm getting ahead of ourselves again. But Sadie and Holly, and then Sadie gives her the talk. Like, I really like the mentorship of Sadie to Holly, and I keep calling her Sadie, Max to Holly.
Yeah.
I like their mentorship, and I like that relationship, and I like how they both encourage each other and they both affirm each other, and they're both like, "Hey, we're both scared, but the other person is brave, and I'm going to feed off of your bravery, or else you wouldn't be here." But when she takes the time, when it's like, "Oh, I can escape. Well, let me take about 30 minutes here and talk to you, Holly, and then I'm just going to hope that this thing I've been trying to get to for months is just going to stay open."
Yeah, well, I mean, Max should have thought about and told her earlier, like, we can't escape together because our physical bodies aren't together. Like, that should have been a conversation they had before they got to the red Vecna's exit lair.
And Holly's like, "Screw this," trips Max, runs and gets out first, and then she's suddenly in Max's body.
That would have been a very different show.
That would have been the plot of Soul from Pixar.
Oh, you're right. I don't think that's how the physics of this world works.
Oh no, it is. You believe me? That's exactly how it goes.
Because if they did that, they could have done any number of body switchings.
I know we're saving characters. I'm gonna really quick hit on this because this part, all of this, like in the mind and the stuff for the kids, and with Derek especially.
Yeah,
I know you're like, I wonder how you're gonna like Derek because Derek is a punk.
Yeah,
but I liked him. I liked him a lot because he's clearly projecting something, you know? Like, so we talked about how I don't like divas. You know, I don't like, for instance, Erica. And Erica, I feel, is so self-assured in herself. And some of the stuff that she had, and like when she stabs her friend in the neck, this season was the most I've liked Erica. But overall, I don't like her because I don't like entitlement. And like really just the scoops thing and like demanding free samples all the time in season 3 really ticked me off for whatever reason.
She was a small child.
I know, but entitlement is entitlement. I have kids. When my kids are entitled, I don't care how old they are. I'm like, you stop it. But Derek has fake confidence. He regurgitates what he sees. He's not as much of a jerk as he kind of wants to be, but he is Delightful Derek, because when he's called Delightful Derek, he does rise to that challenge, and he's a fun, interesting character.
I know you didn't watch much or if any of South Park, but Derek starts out just being Eric Cartman, but then he gets an actual redemption. That's what Derek is. Derek is if Cartman was able to learn and grow and become a nice person.
See, and I don't like Eric Cartman because Cartman, from the little bit that I've seen, has the same entitlement where it's like an unapologetic jerkiness. Derek was able to be self-aware.
Well, yeah, in the very beginning when Derek is just a jerk before anything good happens, that's Cartman. That's what I'm saying. He starts there and then Derek gets better. Yeah. Cartman never gets better.
Yes, because you can't. It's South Park isn't a show where it's not about character development in that show.
No, it's the Seinfeld of animation.
It is. All right.
So then what do you think about bringing in all the extra kids, which they never really specified why they needed 12 kids. Like the 12 kids, is it with like the 12 hands on a clock? I thought it worked okay, but I thought that could have used more explicit. Why do you need them all?
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I had a bigger problem with, I don't remember when it was, but it's like they had their I think once they escaped, I think there were some scenes where like they're all together and like they're like, "Oh, we escaped, we're friends, yay! Look at all of us as friends." Oh no, is the finale, and she's down in the basement with like a couple of her friends there, and I'm just thinking like, remember the time when they tried to brain you in the middle of Vecna's mind and they didn't believe you and they like clocked you in the face and tried to strangle you? Remember that? That was fun times.
Yeah, maybe they all went to group therapy and worked it all out and now they're friends.
That fight was visceral, and it was more visceral because they were all the ages they were. It was like John Wick level of like attacking.
Yeah. And how was Henry able to? Okay, I saw this on another podcast. I'm gonna steal it. Vecna Henry won, so we could just call him VH1. But how was VH1 able to manipulate all of these kids? Like he is like a master. He could be a master cult leader. He got them all believing he's the savior of the world in like a day.
Well, kids believe things easier than adults do. We gradually turn into cynical people.
Yeah, but you think that, like you were saying, you think that Holly, one of their closest friends, like pleading emotional crying tears, like you think one of them would believe, like, no, you're an idiot. Why, Mister? What's it? It's amazing,
Dude, when I was 10, my mom told me that this other kid that I played with was gullible. And that was terrible for her to tell me that, because I was like, I just told him once, I'm like, hey, we're gonna go on a big vacation down to Disney World or something, and we're gonna take you with. He's like, you're taking me with? And I'm like, no. I was a bad person, Brian. But he believed me. In that moment, I had him. To quote Michael Scott. Wow, that's really great news about the bonuses.
Oh yeah, I know that's not true. So that's in Vecna's mind, and then you have the Upside Down, which is kind of both featured a lot and not a lot, because there's not a ton happens in the main Upside Down really, aside from those scenes with Hopper in the beginning, and then the scenes with the Dustin Steve crew.
I mean, technically, everything on that military base is in the Upside Down as well.
Oh yeah, true, but
that's part of the military storyline, in my opinion.
Yeah, and again, where are all the bats and where are all the vines? Where are I know that's we can't not talk about it, even though I know everyone has talked about it already. Like in season 4, they had to like walk through the woods and be careful not to go on vines. They had to have Eddie play Master of Puppets to be a distraction because of the bats, and everyone's just walking around the Upside Down without any care now.
Except for in that first or second episode when a Demogorgon knocks the cars off the road and gets them stranded in the first place.
That's true, but they were only
especially in the world of the Demogorgons and everything, because like that's what the wormhole is. And I know I'm getting ahead because that's not revealed until the Christmas episodes. Yeah. We find out it's a wormhole. It's a bridge, Einstein-Rosenberg bridge, from our world to the Demogorgon world. And that's what the Upside Down is and always has been. And we just are finding it out now. They get to the Demogorgon world. Guess what? It's only the Mind Flayer there. And someone in the writer's room is on camera, on record. We see him say something like, there should be like some Demogorgons or bats or dogs or something. We need to make sure that there's something there, because for them to just show up and there's none of these creatures, that would be kind of weird. And then nothing. We don't have time for that. We have to talk about our feelings.
This was from the documentary that came out shortly after the show. And that is one of the big misses. And if they're not there, you have to explain why they're there.
Yeah.
But
although the coolest scene to me in the Upside Down was interacting with Holly when she breaks out and she goes through the ground and then falls to the air and falls all the way down to the Upside Down and gets caught and then ripped back up into the air as Nancy sees it. I'm like, how traumatizing. And these guys have been through trauma, man.
Oh yeah. I know. I mean, and just be so there to just see your little sister, and then you know exactly, like, they don't know if she just died, you know?
Yeah.
But also, for her doing a free-for-all, if Vecna didn't stop her, would she have just slammed into the earth and died?
You know what? No one knows. That's not what the show's about.
I mean, what they probably would have done, because this is based on other things. I think they would have had Steve, because he's Mr. like, I'm the athletic macho guy. They would have had him like jump off something and like catch her, and like they would crash into the ground together. That's probably what they would have done if they didn't have her go back up.
Maybe.
I'm not saying it makes sense. I'm saying it's what they would have done.
Okay.
Speaking of not making sense, did you realize that Jonathan and Nancy were breaking up, or were you unsure?
I was unsure until the epilogue that they did in the final one, because when he does his unproposal, I thought it was just a unique way to propose. Like, will you marry me eventually? Will you not marry me now? Like,
yeah,
not now, but I want us to still move forward in our relationship. I don't know. I felt like that was what he was saying, but
well, the Duffer Brothers had to like say in interviews afterwards and clarify that they broke up. Not good writing if you have to clarify your writing afterwards. I think that's one of my that's one of our minor gripes that we have. Like I said, most of it is good, but that is one of our minor gripes.
Yep, because it's a unique thing that they did and how they got to that spot of like, okay, an unproposal, sure, this is their way to address that elephant in the room, and they came to terms with it, and that they're not ready for marriage right then, and that you can't force it. But that doesn't specifically mean, especially because they were so happy in it, it doesn't specifically mean, well, that means we're not a couple anymore.
Exactly.
But it does make sense for how they've been building Nancy's character, and especially since season 3, to really give her the empowerment, like a career woman, working girl sort of personality. Completely makes sense that that's how they bring closure to that arc. Fine with that. Just the way they did it was really clumsy.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. So, and while this is going on, we also have the Steve Eddie or not Steve Dustin stuff. And how do you feel about like Dustin's grief over Eddie, and kind of in some ways mirroring in season 4 Max's grief over Billy?
I didn't think about the connection with Max and Billy, but it was worth it because the Dustin and Steve scene on the stairs was really great acting. And was just very compelling, emotional moment where Dustin comes to terms with like, I can't lose you too, and like he really cares about Steve, even though he's like pushing him away because of his persona he's acting it. It took a little bit to get there, and I felt like it was a little especially be like, hey, here's bullies, and then after this episode 2 or whatever, when they beat him up, we're not going to talk about him again.
Well, because they never went back to school, which is why so they never had a chance to deal with the bullies. And then
the Hellfire shirt got him beat up, but yet at graduation he rips it off. It's like, Hellfire lives, and everyone's like, hey, we're cool with that now. Like, I don't know.
Except for the principal, who was such like a cartoony villain, but it's not someone we've never seen before. Again, that was like would have been a payoff if we had seen this principal like in previous seasons.
It was, and you probably read this. It was a payoff in terms of he did exactly what Eddie said it was going to do at graduation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that part of it was really good. And I love how, like, obviously they're not bringing Eddie back. And I thought maybe we would see Eddie in like a flashback or a vision or something, but there was enough DNA of the memory of Eddie for it to be worth it without the cheapness of, hey, it's Eddie.
Yeah. Plus Joseph Quinn is making bank now. So he's doing other bigger projects.
Yeah, but I mean, they've gotten big actors before. I mean, Sean Astin's been working for 40 years, and they got him for Bob.
Oh, you mean Doug from 50 First Dates?
Oh yeah, that guy. He's never done anything else.
Never done nothing.
So all right, now we can go to your Home Alone scene.
I didn't really have much more to add to it besides like commenting on how I really liked it, and it felt like once it got to season 3 of Stranger Things, some of the allusions they were making, like season 3 had Back to the Future. I think season 4 had National Lampoon's Vacation, and so some of these I'm like, what the heck? These aren't horror. These aren't horrors from the 80s. These are feel-good family movies. What are you doing? So it was kind of funny to see them start making those allusions too. So now we have allusions to 1990s Home Alone, because I mean that's what it had to be, right?
There's no way it wasn't inspired by Home Alone.
Yeah,
but and also, I mean, the obvious. Everyone says they never explain what happened to the Turnbows. They leave them in the barn, and also the fact that their house was just completely destroyed.
I did, like I said, I Erica just jamming a needle into that girl's neck was not something I saw coming, but girl reached down deep and she found a part of herself that maybe, maybe has always been there.
I think they used Erica a perfect amount. They gave her some sassy lines, they gave her some good stuff, but we weren't saturated with Erica.
Yeah, season 3 was too much, Erica. This was perfect amount. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't have much else to say about that. But I do like that when after that happens, when it's Dustin, Steve, Jonathan, and Nancy, and they're in the car, and Steve's got the idea to drive into the Upside Down. Jonathan's telling him, "No, don't do it," but then Nancy just stone cold, "Do it," and that like it's almost like Nancy. Everyone understands that she's in charge always, and so as soon as she says it, he guns it and goes.
Well, the girl's had a shotgun since season 1, so I mean, she's the manliest person on this show outside of Hopper.
That's true, but I mean, Nancy, I think is a character who grew so much over the 5 seasons. Like Nancy in season 1 is some timid little girl, like, "Hey, Steve likes me. This is cool," and now she's like, "Screw it, go to the Upside Down. I'm going to come shoot this thing."
I'm bringing a flamethrower. I'm surprised she wasn't like strapped with RPGs or something as she walked in there.
Yeah.
All right, so the big closure of the first group of episodes was surprise, surprise. Will Powers. Will has powers.
Yeah,
and he used them to fight Vecna and save. Well, he didn't completely save him because Vecna still got away with what he was doing, but Will showed him he was a force to be reckoned with.
Well, yeah, I mean, Mike, Lucas, and Robin would all be dead, and probably Murray too, because Murray was right there at the truck.
Yep. And finally, the writers knew what to do with Will. Like, this is a good natural thing. Season 2 wasn't so bad with Will, of having him possessed by Mind Flayer, and that wasn't a bad way to go about. I just think season 3, or maybe is either season 3 or season 4, where he's like, I still want to play Dungeons and Dragons. I still want to be a kid because I've lost that part of myself. I've been in the Upside Down for months, and I was possessed for months, and I just want to go back to how things were. That makes complete sense.
Yeah.
And it could have been a little bit more compelling. They just had a lot of stuff they had to do in those seasons. But this is good plot development for him.
I mean, it might be a basic pick, but this whole scene of Will with the Demogorgons is my favorite scene of season 5. I think they did that so well. And just the fact, like, the perfect people are there. It's Mike and Joyce both get to see them, like, when the look on their face as they see him, like, eyes glazed over, and they don't even know about the other 2 Demogorgons. They only see the one that's in front of Mike. But just seeing that, because they've seen this with 11, and it's kind of like you've talked about last time we talked about Stranger Things, how every season has an 11 comes in to save the day moment, which we'll get to hers later. But this is like what that moment would have been, but it came from Will instead of 11.
Yeah, and it was needed to have Will have powers, because it's boring to just have it's 11 versus Vecna. We needed to see the party defeat Vecna. And so now, boom, Will has powers. Boom, Max is on the inside. Boom, Holly's trying to stop his plan on that side. Joyce cuts his freaking head off.
Yeah.
So we gave a lot more agency instead of just 11 sticking her hand out and Vecna sticking his hand out, and that's how the final battle went. They all had their toe-to-toe moments with Vecna, and it was a lot more compelling. That's why I like season 5 as much as I do, is because it was a really good way to spread the duties to the whole party instead of just 11 or a couple people.
Yeah, and I love the second scene with Will when they reanimate the Demogorgon just enough to get him into Vecna's mind again, and when he was able to recognize that, oh, Max is in there with Holly, and again, that's also a great moment when he's like possesses Vecna and says, "Max, if you can hear me, you need to run." And then later on, of course, Max is going to think that's 11. She wasn't there for any of that stuff, so it's like she says, "Well, unless someone else can possess Vecna, that had to be 11."
Yeah. Yep. And so then that leads to not right away, but it leads to eventually Max being able to escape and having the hospital scene and the tension there and the Demogorgon. Was it Demogorgons or Demodogs in the?
It's Demodogs, but again, this is definitely a Raptors in the kitchen at Home Alone scene.
You mean Jurassic Park?
Raptors in the kitchen. Did the Raptors at Home Alone? Yeah, and I thought this was also a good payout with Karen killing the Demogorgons.
Yeah,
because that also shows that she's protective of kids who aren't even hers, because she knows about Lucas and Robin and potentially Max. It's Nancy and Mike aren't even there. She's not even saving her own kids. She's saving the other ones.
Yeah, to let her be a part of this too. And speaking of letting people, I know that I'm getting ahead of myself, but they also let what's the science teacher's name who's been in every single season?
Yeah,
Mr. Clark. They let him be a part of this too, and he's just there for the ride. Like, all right. I like how he's like, if I have a RNF frequency jammer or whatever, I can take. And Hopper's like, that's nice, but we're doing this, and he just blows it up.
And also, Mr. Clark is like, what do I say? He's got game. How many times have we seen him with women?
Listen, when you have a mustache like that and listen to Weird Al Yankovic and also have a thorough knowledge of science in the 80s, there ain't nothing stopping you.
Apparently.
The world is your burrito. All right.
He's going back to the Max waking up scene. This is the perfect level of suspension of disbelief. Because I like that they acknowledge that she hasn't used her muscles in over a year. She's not going to be able to just jump up and skateboard and be part of the gang.
Yeah.
Realistically, she probably would be in even worse shape. But I'm willing to forgive it because of the fact I think they did it just enough that she can still be there and be active while still not like, I'm skateboarding now.
Exactly. Yeah, and so they're like, well, if she's been in a coma, we've got to find a way to have her do something. So again, she gets put into the Vecna's mind, and she's able to be a part of that and the final one. I can't remember exactly all the stuff that she does, because I remember the scene where she's in the radio tower and she's like, suddenly she sees Vecna, and then she sees like she sees 11, I think.
She sees 11 and Callie, because all three of them are in there. And at first, when that happens and Vicky comes out, because Vicky's like guarding Max's body, and Vicky like drops her cereal and she's like, oh my gosh, like at first it feels like Vecna is overtaking her again, but then you realize this is part of the plan all along. So why is Vicky so scared? Because they would have told her, hey, she's going to be in a trance, but she was still shocked.
To fake us out. They got us.
But no, I agree. I like that they had Max and 11 and Callie reunite with the kids, and it allows her to be active, because when she's not there until the epilogue, she's just in the wheelchair the whole time in the real world.
Yeah. Well, let's keep moving on the plot line so we can get to some of the better character arcs.
Yeah.
So the next thing that you have written down, we've talked a little bit about this, the whole wormhole thing, and making the plan to let Vecna have his plan start succeeding and only stop it once it's close enough, you know?
Yeah. And I like that they gave that plan to Steve. And this is another, like, everyone getting together, like this is like the Ocean's 11 planning scene, but it's with our whole group, and you get to have that moment. And for some reason, they throw in Robin making a Steve has a big dick joke.
Why not? You know,
not like she would know. It was so random that even Steve was like, "What is wrong with you?"
And Robin's like, "Hey, I don't get to talk about this that much. I'm a lesbian, so give me this."
Yeah, for a lesbian, she talks about dick a lot in this season.
Are you having fun, Brian?
I'm having fun because I know it makes you a little bit uncomfortable.
No, never, not at all. So speaking of uncomfortable, we then have the most ham-fisted coming out scene in all of TV and movie history. That it's like, let me bring all these people in, including Murray and Callie, who are like, Callie's like, dude, I just met you. I don't. What am I supposed to do with this information? And Murray's like, all right, I'm here for it.
Yeah. Like, Will being gay has been subtly mentioned all the way back to season 1. And I feel like they knew they had to do something with it, but it's not really relevant. And I know Will says that Vecna made me see that everyone was going to leave me if I told her. That's why it's the whole point of it. But realistically, do you see any scenario where, Joyce or the boys or 11 would actually turn on him because he's gay? Like, no one thought that was going to happen.
Well, I mean, it was the 80s, which brings you to the other side of that is like, with it being the 80s and that many people in the room, I really don't think they would have that same support if it was like truly the 80s. Like a character like Murray, honestly, I love Murray, and I really don't think that Murray's going to be like, oh yeah, just, it doesn't matter. Love is love. I don't think he's that sort of person. So I don't think all of them are that type. And so I think it was better done with the Robin and Steve conversation in season 3, or would have been better like just him saying that to Mike, like because they did have a let's debrief scene with him and Mike on the radio tower. Like let that be that scene, because it becomes too big of a moment that is more political than it is character driven or necessary to the plot.
And I mean, I agree with that. It was very ham-fisted, but I disagree with you about Murray, because remember, Murray was also the one who basically gave 2 teenagers vodka and said, go explore your sexuality. I think he's very open-minded.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely like the 1970, like he's not a hippie, but he's hippie-ish.
Yeah.
But again, I just like Hopper, I think, well, Hopper would probably be one that wouldn't be okay with it. It's like just that adults in the 80s, even teens in the 80s,
Well, Hopper wasn't there, but I feel like if Hopper was there, I don't think he would care about Will being gay. I think he would be like, we don't have time for this. We have a mission.
Yeah, that's true.
So then with our mission, mission kind of goes into different parts. They go into the Upside Down with help from Erica and Mr. Clark. And I like that's the perfect placement for them, because then we don't need to have Erica and Mr. Clark inside the mission in the Upside Down. So that's great. And then they split off.
That's great.
That's great. I don't know what else to say. So the first part of this is the Upside Down Hawkins lab, where you have Hopper, Murray, 11, and Callie. And this is where, from the other side, we already talked about 11 and Callie. This is where they go into the tank. And someone else pointed this out. There's not supposed to be any water in the Upside Down. Like the lake in season 4 was dry, but the tank still has water.
Who knows? I mean, that lends itself to a theory we're going to talk about in a little bit. That has been going around on the internet.
Yes. So then
we'll leave that alone for right this second.
Yeah. So basically, Hopper is guarding 11 in there while Murray is setting up the explosives, because the point is at the very end of this, they're going to set off a record, and once everyone's safe, that'll blow up the whole Upside Down. And then, of course, that gets attacked by the military. And did you also think that Murray was about to sacrifice himself and jump off and die?
I can't remember thinking that.
I 100% thought that, because he was getting things ready. I thought he was going to hold the grenades and jump at the helicopter with his body, and that was going to be the sacrifice.
Which, man, Murray, speaking of character arcs, we meet him in season 2 as a private investigator, and then he becomes a prison escapist, and then he becomes a smuggler of illegal contraband, and then he becomes Rambo blowing up a military helicopter. This guy went from unhinged to absolutely bat and crazy,
Well, going back to the Ocean's 11, he's like the Malloy brothers, like Turk and Virgil Malloy. They're whatever you need them to be for the mission.
Pretty much.
And then you had also this moment where Hopper could have easily grabbed both 11 and Callie and ran to safety when they were playing the siren that hurts their powers. But he decides to just grab 11. And granted, he wasn't actively trying to kill Callie, but I think he definitely played a part in her death.
Well, such what she gets for having her head shaved. If you didn't want to die, don't have the worst episode of Stranger Things all about you. All right? So that's your fault.
So, I mean, what are your thoughts on everything, pretty much everything that happens in the Upside Down lab? And then also with Vecna basically getting into Hopper's mind and tricking him into shooting the tank and basically forcing 11 out of the dream world.
That was a plan. It was a great plan. That was very interesting. Great writing to have Hopper do something to interfere. Like there are some things that's like, oh, I'm gonna just send a Demogorgon after you, and that's gonna distract you. Like they've done that so many times in these key moments. But to get into his head that way was something new we hadn't seen, or how he used it. Wasn't something that we had seen, and was a great way to foil their plan. Thought that was great writing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and while that's going for everybody else, including Joyce, who, by the way, Joyce has like almost nothing to do until the very end of the season.
She chops the guy's head off, man. She watched Avengers Endgame and was like, "Oh, you got to go for the head." Okay, gonna do
another Avengers one. But I mean, it's Mike, Will, Dustin, Lucas, Nancy, Jonathan, Steve, Robin, and Joyce that all go up to the abyss through the radio tower.
Yeah, and I know that we had the Mind Flayer, but it was just them running around throughout like the land. Instead of this would have been the time to have Demi bats,
anything,
organs, whatever. Yeah. Instead of the Mind Flayer, because the Mind Flayer, that was an interesting reveal to be like, oh, by the way, this base he's living in is actually the Mind Flayer. Okay, cool. But can we add these creatures then? Because them just running away from a giant creature is not interesting. It's one of the things that I don't like when I watch Godzilla movies. That's not interesting. What's interesting is human elements and more personal like fights and
But also keep in mind that while inside the monster is all the kids' bodies and 11 and Vecna also having a fight. So that adds something to it. Yeah. I wasn't surprised that the thing was a monster because when you go into the inside, like the mouth or where all the kids are, that space, it looks like teeth coming up. It looks like you're inside of a mouth. I kind of suspected that all along.
There you go.
Did you? Or were you surprised by that?
I didn't expect it to be the Mind Flayer. I didn't think about it, but when it showed, like, oh, yeah, okay. There you go.
Well, until Vecna came along in season 4, the Mind Flayer was the villain. And so I thought you couldn't just ignore the Mind Flayer. It had to be part of this. Otherwise, that would be Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have liked this season if they just completely tried to ignore the Mind Flayer.
Yeah. It's good that they brought it back. You're right.
Yeah. But then also, part of this plan, they get up there, Nancy says, like, I'm going to be bait, and you're all going to go up above this huge chasm above it. And she doesn't give them any time. This thing would take so long for them all to climb up there. And she's like, I'm the bait. And she immediately starts shooting it. And the next thing we see, everybody's already up there.
They have really good jumping skills.
They must. I mean, I think Lucas is probably the most athletic of that group, and I could see him being the first to get up there, but we don't see that.
He just grabbed all of them and just swung them around like Mario 64 and just chucked them up there.
Yeah. And then this is also a good point to talk about. So this is the last time that, Will goes into Vecna's mind, and we find out the backstory. And more of the backstory is in the first Shadow play, which is great to have, part of your story in a format that we can't see. But anyways, when Henry was a kid, he got possessed by the Mind Flayer, and all along, it's changed him, and he's been connected to the Mind Flayer ever since.
And I thought this was a really good thing that they did, where it was humanizing his evil, but then for him to also say, no, screw that, I'm okay with this. Yeah. I'm making this choice. Like, great way to dodge the current thing where there's this problem in media where it's like, okay, this person's bad, but now that we understand them, we're actually okay with them being bad, and it's like, no
Yeah.
one's really a real villain. You do that, and then you have Fast and the Furious where you add villains to your hero team every single movie. Like, stop doing that.
Yeah, exactly. But this was Vecna's Darth Vader moment, except he chose the opposite way. Like, Darth Vader in that moment, like, decided to turn and turn against the Emperor. Vecna could have absolutely had the choice to turn against the Mind Flayer, and he could have chosen to fight with them. And he said, "No, this is who I am." And I didn't catch it at first when he said, "He didn't control me, and I didn't control him. We are one." I mean, as in, like, he is literally number one from the lab too.
Yeah,
they are one.
Yeah, so you can be sympathetic and like, he got afraid because this traumatic experience where the guy got shot in front of him and then he got possessed by Mind Flayer. Oh no, poor guy! But at the same time, you're also still continually choosing that cycle of hate.
Yeah, young Henry absolutely had tragedy happen to him, but he chose to continue it. He chose to live in that and become that. He wanted to be Vecna, even though Vecna wasn't technically his name. That was a D&D thing that they called him. He wanted to become the Mind Flayer, basically.
Yeah. So I think that having Joyce be the one to kill him, especially when she was the one who, it was her son that got, like, they all had their, like, fight Vecnas, and they all have personal reasons to be against Vecna. And Joyce being the one to finish the blow, I think, was the right call.
Me too. But did you also notice, when they go through, everyone has their flashback moments of trauma, except Steve and Robin?
We've been fine for the most part. We're not thrilled about this guy, but
Well, I saw a post that was basically for those two, it was all just evil Russians in customer service.
Which, I mean, those go hand in hand. I don't know what's worse.
Well, customer service is more applicable to our lives. No. At least our lives.
Nope. I deal with evil Russians every day. So after they kill him, then it's the blow up the upside down and they're escaping. And then, oh no, the military's here again. And Eleven's like, by the way, I'm staying behind. Sorry, Mike. See you later.
And you got to admit that the Prince soundtrack and Purple Rain definitely elevates this scene.
Yeah, that's good.
Because they had been announcing that, like they said, there's going to be a song that is the first time it's ever been used in media, and this was Purple Rain. And what got since Prince is dead, I don't know who, it's like his estate, whoever controls the rights. Because of what Stranger Things did to Kate Bush and her single in season 4, that's what convinced them to let them use Purple Rain and When Doves Cry in this season.
Yeah, I didn't realize that this is the first time Purple Rain has been used in media outside of obviously the movie Purple Rain with Prince.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because that was what had been announced before. They said, "Ooh, there's going to be a new song that's going to be a big one," which, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't see that advertising.
Yeah. And then, did the emotional moment of everyone seeing 11 get wiped away with the Upside Down, did that do it for you, or were you kind of like, I don't care?
It didn't. I think I had a more emotional response to the Dustin and Steve conversation in the stairwell.
For me, the emotional part for me came with the finales and the epilogue, and just seeing everyone kind of like say goodbye, because I had heard that everyone's final scene was their last scene on set. So like for the older kids, it was the scene on the roof, and for the younger kids, when they're putting their books away, those were their final scenes.
Yeah, and you can tell it with putting the books away. Like you can see, Noah, what's his last name?
Schnapp,
who plays Will. You can see him like trying to hold it together in the background of it, and obviously you see it when it's close on his face too.
Yeah.
The real tears coming out.
They're all emotional, all of them are, but especially Noah.
Yeah. And I think that was a really, like, the graduation scene is fine, but I really, really liked the passing of the torch of the younger sibling and
Yeah.
their friends coming down, and they're playing D&D while the older group puts their character sheets to bed and
Yeah.
goes up and closes the door. I thought that was a really, really good metaphor, and was thrilled at how they pulled that off.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I agree. That's a scene that got me, and especially when depending on what you think about the 11 ending, and but seeing their emotion.
Yeah.
We should get into that. So, what do you think about the 11 might still be alive?
So Angie's like, I'm going to choose to believe that she didn't, because it feels like there's a lot of things. How would that have happened? Like, it doesn't feel like it works for Angie. But I think it does, because I think that as a writer, the way that the writers portrayed this felt like it was intentionally trying to say, this is what happens, and we can't find a way for Mike to know for sure without ruining it. So we're going to say Mike is just, that's what I choose to believe, and that he happened to come up with the right thing. That, as a writer, is how I would say this is how we're going to show you what happened.
Well, I believe it mainly because of the fact that, like we said, she couldn't have used her powers because of those sirens were blaring. So how did she get Mike into her mind?
Yeah. Well, she was she was behind the speakers, the blaring.
So maybe, yeah. And
so
we don't know for sure if that goes through or not. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, she was behind the speakers, and if she would have been in the Radio Shack like they were implying like she was, it would go through those walls. So, I mean, there's actually, if you believe it that way, there's more credit to it not being real, if that's where your logic is.
True. And then what did you think about the scene with the teenagers on the roof? One thing I thought is, it's so realistic, especially like that, just out of high school, the young adult, and they're like, we all live in very different places. We're gonna meet at was it someone's Robin's uncle's basement every month. I'm thinking, no, you're not. You're maybe going to do it once. You're going to maybe do it once, and you're going to say you're going to do it a lot, and it's just, that's not how life works.
Yeah, and then it's like 4 months goes by, and they're like, oh wait, no, we need to do this, and they get together, and like, we can't let it go on like that again. We've got to do this more often. Yeah, we got to do it more often. 10 years later, hey, wait, we need to get together one more time.
Yeah, I absolutely believe that they did get together, but not as frequently as they think they are. But I think all four of them thought it was going to be just like they said.
Yep, and fitting end for all of them. Like, as a guy who, my dream as a kid was to have a family of my own, I obviously am rooting for Steve. I love his story and love his ending, because I'm the same way. It's like, just, find the people you love, find your family, grow that family, and love it. Yeah. So I'm way in the Steve column for good job, buddy.
Me too. But then on the other end, someone who unfortunately had to lose two daughters, Hopper and Joyce getting engaged. It kind of predictable, but they got their happy ending.
Yeah. Poor Hopper.
Oh, and okay, I mentioned this to you before. Okay, Max, Mr. Clark, and Karen Wheeler, none of them seem surprised that Hopper didn't die in the mall fire, which they all were supposed to think that he's dead. And they said, oh, hey, Hopper, what's up?
It's fine. And Will died too, and there's,
I suppose, but
stranger things happened. Hey, Strange. Hey, that's the name.
And I mean, we also have to just gloss over the fact that Hopper is somehow the chief of police again.
It happens.
Yeah.
Hey, let's real quick jump into what are some of the let's give 2 or 3 best and worst characters for this season. Not characters in general, but just what they had this season. What do you got?
First of all, obvious pick. I loved all the humor they gave Robin, and they gave her pairing her up with Will worked really well.
Yep. I like that she was able to. Like, I know that there's a lot that they paired up together because of the homosexual coming out arc, but I like that Robin believed in Will for when Joyce had kid gloves on him. I thought that was compelling to be like, no, man, you're coming into your own as an adult, and we all understand why Joyce is going to have kid gloves on Will,
Yeah.
but you're capable of so much. You might be the linchpin in beating Vecna, and we need you, and so you can't be afraid.
Yeah. Who do you got?
I always like it's hard to not love the same guys from previous seasons because I love Steve. I love Hopper. Those two are really fantastic. I liked Hopper again this season of just all this stuff with 11 because in the first season, one of my favorite moments of the first season is when they find Will and they're trying to like bring him back, and it's showing the flashbacks of Hopper and his daughter. And so I think that's just a really compelling thing to say. Hey, he remembers what it was to lose a kid, and he's going to fight with everything he can to bring Will back from the brink so that Joyce doesn't suffer that same thing. And now he's doing everything he can to not, like you said, lose another daughter, even if it means giving up his life and having that vest of explosives. So I liked him a lot.
Yeah, I mean, and Hopper definitely changes. Like every season, he's got a little bit of like I'm a jerk. But I think in season 1 is where he really when the more he starts to believe that Joyce is right, the more he lets his guard down and he doesn't have the walls up, which is great.
Yeah, I think Holly's story was my favorite, and I think that was a really cool thing to. I wasn't like I'm not like a huge Wrinkle in Time fan, but I'm familiar enough with the story to really appreciate how they tied in that story and they used it as a launching point for her side and her whole arc that she had.
And another character who doesn't get mentioned, like, and in some of people's top as much as, and I found myself liking is Lucas. Lucas did a lot this season. I mean, the fact that even when he might be killed by a Demodog, he's still going to keep that song playing for Max and like running through a hallway while carrying Max. I know he's athletic, but that's got to be tough to carry Max while running and everything. And every step, I mean, when they're doing the Turnbow Home Alone stuff, he has some pretty amazing like jump over that entire chasm to the other side. Like he's definitely the athlete of the group.
Lucas is a bro. He's awesome. Just how he cared for Max was really inspiring too. You're right.
And he scared off the bullies off of Dustin in the beginning too.
Yep. So who would you say was the weaker character of the season?
I wouldn't say not a weaker character, but they gave her nothing to do, which was Joyce. Joyce went from the star of the show in the first couple seasons to she's around and she worries about Will, but so many scenes she's just there. And she has that amazing scene where she kills Vecna, but until then, it's like she's like a background character for a lot of this season.
You know who else is just there? Jonathan.
Yeah.
He's the weaker character for me because the best things about Jonathan's character in any of the seasons was as the brother to Will. And like how much he cared for him and how protective he was, but also trying to, like when he has to take him trick-or-treating in season 2 and Will's like, please, I just want to feel normal again. I don't need my big brother trick-or-treating. And he's like, I get that. I'll let you, I'll come find you again in a couple hours. You stay with your friends, that sort of thing. So he's a great brother, but when he's paired with Nancy, that relationship that's a will they, won't they, that doesn't work to me. I don't care about it. And especially because he kind of just chases after like a puppy with his tail between its legs. And yet he also has the insecurity with Steve. And we all like Steve better. Even if Steve and Nancy's a bad pairing as a relationship, we like Steve better than Jonathan. So sorry, dude.
Me too. Talking about how Jonathan was great in seasons 1 and 2. Do you think that maybe Jonathan should have been killed in season 3 in the hospital when the little mini mind flayer monster was attacking them?
Maybe.
And then his death could have been like propelling Joyce and Will and Nancy through the rest of the series.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he became dead weight and he needed to I don't want to say he needed to be got rid of, but like it also would have made sense then again for why Joyce left at the end of season 3 and moved to California.
I think that's the scene when the two guys they got killed and like the mini mind flayer monster. I think that's when Jonathan should have died.
Yeah.
So, do you have any other worst characters besides Jonathan?
No, actually, there was a lot of good they did.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, it was like bad character moments, like Dustin at the beginning. Some of
Yeah.
his stuff was not as good as other things. Like, and we needed to know he was being a jerk. It's like the show called him out for it. It's not like,
Yeah.
hey, let's root for the jerk. But
no, and it was not that he should have been a jerk, but we also knew it was because he was reeling over losing Eddie.
Yeah. So it's like I didn't like that side of him, which we shouldn't have liked that side of him. So it served its purpose,
Yeah. I put on a list unresolved plot holes, which the main one, just because it could have taken one line to explain what happened to Dr. Owens, because they never said he died when when the base got attacked in Nevada,
Yeah.
whatever however you say it. But like just a major character who's been a big part of it and is just never spoken of again. Like, I don't know. That annoyed me.
Especially because oh my gosh, Paul Rubens? No, that's Pee Wee Herman. Paul Reiser.
Yeah.
It's like I knew I was going to confuse him with another Paul out there. Paul Reiser is fantastic. I really love him. I loved him from the second he came on in season 2, and glad they brought him back in season 4. I always am up for a little bit more Paul Reiser.
Me too.
Maybe not always. Maybe not like at 3:30 in the morning, and he's like standing by my bed, and like, "Hey, what's up, man?" I'm like, "Go away, Paul." A situation that has definitely happened. So we're talking about unresolved plot holes. So you had seen this, and for those who are Stranger Things fans and have an online presence, there's a good chance you've seen something about there being a final episode, a secret final episode, part of this theory called Conformity Gate, where not everyone, all the proponents of this are looking at this and think, hey, when Levin sacrificed herself and we see Mike's face and there's like this ticking clock and then it cuts to black, and with this ticking clock, they think that is Vecna surviving and actually getting in Mike's brain and pulling him and putting him in this world that Vecna has created, kind of like he did with Holly and Max and all the kids. And so there's all this support that it's like, well, that's why the graduation is a little weird, and why maybe there's some signs in the background that people are holding, but they don't actually have anything written on it. And that's why when Hopper proposes, that's it, to Joyce, he's using the exact same ring that Jonathan dropped on the ground in the upside down, that got blown up and sent into the vacuum of quantum space, and somehow he got that back. And so they have like all this evidence of why there are things that don't make sense, and there's props and there's background characters and all this stuff that's going on, and everything wraps up all cookie cutter, and it's because Vecna is in Mike's mind and saying, hey, look, everything's fine, you don't have any other reason to fight, it's all perfect. And that there was supposed to be an actual other episode that was going to come out because of some things that were pointed out, like the dice at the end of the episode, or some social media posts from Netflix, why it was supposed to debut on January 7th or January 12th or whatever it was.
I think that people who got into the Conformity Gate was one of two reasons. Either one, they were unhappy with the ending and they wanted to just so believe that they weren't being gypped and they wanted the ending that they wanted. Or two, which I think is more accurate, I think a lot of people didn't really believe it, but it was like a fun prank to talk through and pretend like it was a thing. I don't know how many people were really legitimately thinking that it was real.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I saw a lot of posts about the secret episodes, like, the secret episode's gonna come, and I'm like, no, this fan theory is fine. I don't mind the fan theory. It's well thought out. There's a lot of reasonings. Like when they lay, if you read up on it and you see all the things that they highlight, then you're like, oh, I can see where you would pull that theory out of it. It's kind of fun, but I don't believe that was the Duffer Brothers in any sense trying to lay the seeds for that. I think all the things can be explained away through different reasonings of either reusing the same prop because it's cheaper to do that, or we're going to have signs in the background, but we're not going to put anything on it. No one's going to care. No one's going to pay attention. We're not focused on that.
And especially after watching that behind the scenes documentary, the one that we mentioned, and how they were admitting like they're writing things as they went along. I don't know if the Duffer Brothers are smart enough to pull off Conformity Gate.
I think they're smart enough. I don't think they had enough time. I know that there was a lot of time in between seasons, but when they actually got to like writing it and sitting down and like going through it because of the different strikes that happened, I don't think that they had enough time under their belt to really. They were concerned about getting what they got, and what we got was actually pretty good.
Yeah,
but I don't think there's some big deeper thing. I think another reason that people like that so much is because if we're really being honest, a group of teenagers, even if some of them have powers, is probably not going to become victorious against this guy. Like there's so many reasons why these teens shouldn't have beaten Vecna. And also to do it with pretty much zero body count. Like you said, there's a couple across the seasons, but more of them should have died. And so to end on a little bit more of a sour note that, oh wait, no, everyone actually is captured and Vecna won and he took over the Earth, that's a more depressing ending and is probably more realistic.
Probably, yeah. I agree. I mean, I don't want to be the person who says like, oh, we need to have deaths to be a good show, but it's just so unrealistic that like nobody died except in the season except for Callie.
Yeah.
And 11, if you believe her sacrifice.
Remember when they faked us out and like, oh, Steve's gonna die. He's falling off. Cut to black.
Oh, that's the, almost every season has had a Steve almost dies, because you had in season 2 with the demo dogs at the junkyard, season 4 with the bats when he went through Watergate, and then this season when he falls over.
Yep.
And then, like you said last time when we talked about season 4, every season has an 11 comes out of nowhere. That was in the Abyss when she does her Mario jumps over the rocks to get up there, and then she knocks the mind flayer off. That was her contractual obligation to show up at a crucial moment and save the day.
Good job, 11. You did it. You didn't let us down.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen any of the videos come around of the cast doing like table reads and them reading these things for the first time? Because those are fun.
I saw the one about your favorite moment with Will when he was revealed he had powers.
I saw that one. I saw the one they talked about revealing that Karen killed the demo dogs in the laundry room, and there was also one where they read the moment about Steve almost dying and Jonathan saving him.
And Steve falls. What?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm the same way. Like, I don't want to say, hey, you have to have deaths, but I do think it would have emotionally meant more. And I feel like that's why they did the thing with 11. But then kind of wussed out. I think we needed to kill a character that we liked. I think, honestly, we probably needed to kill Dustin.
I hate to say it, but you're probably right.
Yeah. So
that's kill Jonathan in season 3, kill Dustin in season 4.
Look at us, we're murderers.
Or no, 5. Season 5. Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it. Okay, if you're just thinking about characters whose names were in the opening credits, like the full series regulars, the only ones who have died were Vecna, Bob, and Billy.
Yeah.
Just them. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, sure. We had like the background. We have Barb in season 1. We had Christy, Alexi. I think it was season 4.
Chrissy. And Alexi in season 3.
Oh, Alexi. Yeah. That was a sad death. Like, I think Bob is the saddest death in this show. And then Alexi is right there right after him.
Someone made a fan AI video of the characters in the Abyss, and then like Avengers Endgame tunnels start opening, and it's Bob and Alexi and Barb and Eddie and there's one more Alexi that come out. And I mean, it's not real, but it's fun to watch it and pretend.
Here's the final thing I'll leave it with deaths, and I won't spoil Better Call Saul, even though the final season was like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, something like that. So you've had time, but there's a death in the final season that is such a memorable death, and it really shapes the show. And that without that death, I don't think it would. It still would have been a good show, but that moment was really, really good television. And so we needed. It really would have behooved this show to have a moment like that to make it have a little bit longer of a lasting legacy.
If it's the death I'm thinking of, it also came out of nowhere, and I did not see it coming at all.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that is Stranger Things. Is there anything else you want to talk about in Stranger Things before we move to trivia?
I had on their music, but we already talked about music with Prince and with Tiffany, and this show knew how to pick the right tracks to really identify with the show.
Yeah, when she had a Tiffany CD, I'm like, they're gonna play "I Think We're Alone Now," 100%. There's no way that they don't do "I Think We're Alone Now," and then she did, and she's dancing to it.
I saw a clip. It's like Holly in the Upside Down, and she's trying on clothes and doing all happy, and then it's Will in the Upside Down. It's the opening scene when he's being chased to the Demogorgon through the trees,
and he has the whatever force fed into his mouth. Gosh, that's the most disgusting part of this whole season is all the. And they've had that since season 1, but there was a lot more forced down your gullet moments that just were really, really gross.
Yeah, I mean, and yes, Holly and Derek and all the kids also had that too. We just didn't focus on it.
No.
But yeah, that's all I had for Stranger Things season 5.
That's it for Stranger Things. We're gonna move into trivia now. On that fun note, so this is the second time in a row that we've talked about. It's light, but we're calling it horror. And last week was light horror, quote unquote. It's more like unsettling more than anything. So last time we talked about Black Mirror, and so we talked about the episode Common People. And so the question that we had with that episode is there are two actors in that episode that have relational ties to very famous music legends. Who are those music legends? Well, Rashida Jones, she's actually the daughter of Quincy Jones, who he's a composer and producer, big record. He is well known mostly for working with Michael Jackson and produced him and Thriller and all those different CDs. Mm-hmm. And then we also had Tracy Ellis Ross, who is the daughter of Diana Ross, who's one of the queens of disco back from the 70s. So those are the two, Diana Ross and Quincy Jones.
And wasn't Diana Ross music also featured in Stranger Things? Because Hopper called Robin Diana Ross.
Maybe. Which one thing that is ironic is Diana Ross or Tracy Ellis Ross in that episode of Common People played a character named Gaynor, like Gloria Gaynor, who both Gloria Gaynor wrote and produced or performed the song "I Will Survive," but Diana Ross did a cover of it, and I actually know a lot of people, including my parents, who thought Diana Ross wrote that song when really it's Gloria Gaynor.
I didn't know that. So this week for Stranger Things, it's interesting. One of the main characters of Stranger Things we didn't talk about all that much, which is Eleven. And in the beginning of the season, she's doing her training because she wants to go and fight in the Upside Down with Hopper. And she has her whole training outfit. And her training outfit is based off of what 80s movie character?
Jaws.
Yes, she is the shark.
I know that that's technically 70s, but...
Do you know this?
First season of Stranger Things had a lot of allusions to Jaws, so...
It did.
All right. Well, there you go. That was it. I didn't even I just thought of more things in the conformity theory, but we're past that. We've already moved on. We're at the end of the episode. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching with us. What are we talking about next week, Brian?
Next time, we will be talking about, again, just like we recently mentioned, Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad characters. Who do we love? Who do we hate? Who are we in the middle about?
Yeah. So it's going to
And
be pretty great. We're going to have some guests on that episode.
yep, and you know what? We might not have Paul Rubens or Paul Reiser, but we will have a different Paul R.
Paul. Oh, I don't know who it's going to be.
We'll see.
We'll have to see.
And the other guest will be someone we haven't asked yet, but
we'll get there. All right. Well, that is it. Hopefully you guys are having a great March. Enjoy the rest of your month. Until next time, I'm Matt.
I'm Brian.
And we're reminding you to stay tuned and keep watching.